height of his career, Andre Agassi was famous for his long hair and unique fashion on the court, and as he was for his game.
But off the court, his life was full of ups and downs and really amazing contradictions, which he details in his best-selling book, Open, an autobiography, now out in paperback, because it was a smash bestseller last year, Andre, when you were first here with us. Great to see you.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
It was one of those heavy books you didn't mind carrying around because it was such a page-turner when it was in hardback. I was surprised about how much I didn't know about your life. I figured you lived your life sort of out in public, but I was
surprised on how much I didn't know about my life. I really poured myself into it, but I put, thousands of hours into this book. It really
about 3 years it took,
3
right?
years, 3 years for me.
What was the hardest part of it to write? To be honest about?
The hardest part was deciding to do it. The honesty wasn't a question for me. You can't write a book about your life and not talk about your life.
And call it open.
Yeah, I mean, I turned a light on myself, and I had to learn a lot about myself through the process, because you're sort of reaching back and finding that strand that kind of ties your story together.
Were
and
you
that
worried
wasn't
about
easy.
what other people would think, what your dad would think, what your wife would think, what Brooke Shields would think? Were you thinking about them?
And ultimately your children
someday? Your children, yeah.
I wrote it with my children first and foremost in my mind. But, the book's written in present tense, so any judgments that might appear to be in the book are really through the lens of what I was going through at that time. And most of that time I was so darn confused myself that it's not an accurate portrayal of anybody, but it is of me. So I wanted to be hardest on me in the book, let me put it that way.
Well, what was fascinating is that you would think that a book about tennis would be, not so interesting over and over and over, because it goes, the ball went this way, the ball came back, or it went out. But you write so compellingly about your struggles as a child who really had your childhood hijacked from you in a sense. And that is, you really did hate tennis, didn't you?
I did. It was,
and nobody believed you when you'd say, I hate tennis.
I know, that's right. It was, for me, it was imposed on me, and it was a life I found myself in. And I didn't really take ownership of it until I was 27 years old, until I was ranked about 140 in the world, and
got perspective.
Until I hit a pretty low depth and was in depression and all sorts of things. And I gave myself finally the permission to walk away from it. And the second that I did that, I also then asked myself, what if I now choose it for the first time?
Well, and your relationship with your dad is one that a lot of people will find interesting. Probably many have a similar one, where your dad sort of pushed you into something that you went unwillingly. Did you, and there's some resentment, obviously, in the book.
Well, there's resentment on how he sort of brought tennis into my life and that sort of thing, but he came with his good as well. I celebrated the fact that he was proud of me. He did introduce me as the #1 player and the future #1 player in the world, and that's a powerful emotion for a boy. But at the same time, he came with a lot of intensity, and I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders from an early age. But getting sent away from home at 13 was an experience that I had a hard time working through as well.
So you've had a year now to look back on the whole thing. Are there things that you wish you hadn't shared? And are there things that you left out of the book that are still yet unknown that you wish you had put in?
The truth is that no man's life, no person's life fits inside the cover of 400 pages. It just, you just can't do it. So it was really hard for me to really prioritize the formative things in my life, the formative people, the formative experiences, and where it really, helped me develop as a person and how it impacted me. I don't regret anything I put in, because I was very clear on the intersections of my life. As far as what could have gone in, I felt like I could have spent another 400 pages.
Well, we'll wait for that.
It's a great read. Andre, thank you. Great seeing you.
That's in stores now.
All right, coming up next, we're going to play Who Knew? Right after this.
Welcome to the